So, are people really after success, or are they really after meaningful prosperity? I say they're after meaningful prosperity, but what do I mean by that? What is it, though, that success really kind of gives us, is the carrot for, that really wants us to go into it? It can give us security, it can give us a certain sense of accomplishment. You can feel very good about, the fact that you have created a certain amount of abundance and houses and cars and travel and all the rest of it. And yet that might not be the whole picture. So I'm going to say that success is more of a combination of outside success and inside success, which I would call meaningful prosperity. I want to explain that. But first, this is a video I'm doing. It's a blog post, but it's also a video I'm doing because I've had 3 people in my office this week who have had all the outside successes, trappings of success, I was going to say, and all the goodies and all the wonderful things that come from success, but they don't have that deeper nourishment. So I'm doing this in lieu of, these 3 people who have come in this today. But I got to tell you, over the 30 years, I've had a lot of people come in with the same symptoms. It's not quite cutting it. They feel that saggy energy. The meaning's gone out of it. Their wife and their kids, they don't know how to relate to them because it's different than, different strategy going to work than being at home, et cetera, et cetera. So I want to say there's a little deeper version of success that is meaningful prosperity. So let me explain. So if we back up a bit and just talk about, we just climb up the tree of our life and look down at our life, we can divvy it up into 3 areas. And one is work. That's easy enough, right? We can see that down here, a third, a third, a third. This is going to be what we call self-care. That makes sense. And over here is all our relationships. And we could divvy up the world in many different ways, but this is a very simple way of doing it. And if you think about all things being equal, you have a certain amount of vitality if you are doing things well. If you do body, mind, soul, I want to say that's your pyramid of health, good currency, you being in the rhythm. If you're always going well, you end up creating a bit of vitality here. And if all your relationships are going well, I want to say you create some intimacy in the very deepest version of that. Sexuality, emotionality, soul, spirit, purpose, all sorts of intimacies. Intimacy with life itself, with nature. And then work, if you're doing that well, I'm going to say you're going to feel a certain amount of meaning, and meaning comes from being on purpose. So that makes sense, right? We can all deal with that. We can all see that. So I'm going to say that meaningful prosperity is a combination of all these things. The true definition of prosperity is it's not just about money and things. It's about relational prosperity. It's about body, mind, soul prosperity. It's about feeling useful in the world, doing something that you're built for, that you're designed for. So the definition that I want to share with you is that if we're doing this well, we're feeling the meaning and purpose. We feel, my teachers used to call it, feeling harmoniously useful in this section. Okay? And over here, if you're doing this well, we feel that belonging to one and many. Right? That feeling of connection. Over here, I want to say that we feel a certain amount of unity without effort. Unity without effort. And if we are doing all of these things well, what we end up with, put all those things together, is we end up with a beautiful rhythm in our life, and we feel that what my teachers called a love undivided. Now that sounds a bit esoteric, and yet it seems very practical too in my eyes, that we all want to feel in the end. I think what people are really after when they're after success is they really want the outside to then reflect the success, the fullness of who they really are on the inside. And so I want to say that that's the definition, and I want to give you 3 strategies now that will enable you to be able to deepen this meaningful prosperity in your life. These are fulfillment strategies. So the first one is very simple. I want to put marker all over myself. The first one I want to tell you about is more of a formula. It's the science of us getting into the our very core of our being, our blueprint, and how it is that we're supposed to travel in this world. Some people would call it our dharma. And that formula is something that you can read about, shameless plug here, in our Awakening Your Inner Gifts book that you can get on Amazon.com. It talks about the formula in the whole book, but in particular it talks about our natural gifts, which is part of this formula. So this formula looks like this. For meaningful prosperity, what we need to have is we need to be dialed into our true nature, our essential self, our deepest part of ourself, which is outside and inside. We also then need to have our essential qualities. You know, we have compassion or beauty. My essential quality in this lifetime is beauty. Dalai Lama's is compassion. Buddha's might have been mindfulness. Our true nature can be considered the great spirit or the great mystery. Some people call it God, some people call it the Buddha within. And then we have our natural gifts, of which we have many. We have 28 different natural gifts. You can access that through this book. We have gifts of leadership, gifts of teaching, gifts of hospitality. And then we have, of course, we need to match that to a meaningful need, right? So, and then of course minus any kind of personal resistances or any kind of symptoms. So what this looks like is that what we have here is our true nature could be, you know, let's just call it the great mystery, the mystery of life. And we could say our essential qualities are things like beauty, joy, compassion, love. Some people embody more than the other. Like I said, a teacher, so you could have a teacher who has a natural gift of teaching. So we could say that the teacher also happens to have an essential quality of compassion, and that compassion then is serving a meaningful need of autistic kids in your community. So a good example of that would be a teacher, a compassionate teacher working with autistic kids. It's not that difficult to figure out. And in order for her to, let's say it's a woman that we talk about this in our book, you give this example, but she has some personal resistances to some challenges to really doing that and giving herself permission to do that. And she doesn't feel like her family be happy because she's really she's a lawyer and her family wants her to do this or the culture wants to do this. So in order for her to overcome those challenges, she needs to, in a way, step into working with the great mystery and more of her essential qualities. And that's actually the second part of the second fulfillment strategy that I want you to think about. And what we would call that is really embodying. And so the first one is really following your bliss. So, and then the science of that, this is embodying your bliss. But think about embodying your bliss now. Like not embodying your bliss when you're 65 and retired and whatnot. No, but embodying who you are and what you're all about now. So in this formula, this true nature and essential qualities, you can do that by repeating an old ancient Vedic chant, which is it's very simple. Dharma is what is really can be translated in a number of different ways, but really what it means is you being in the river of your life, you stepping into the wholeness of the grand design of your life. So Dharma Hum means stepping into the Dharma of your life and bliss together. It's both of those things together. So repeating that chant for 20 minutes twice a day, just following it as succinctly and as gently and as fiercely gentle as possible, you end up creating a doorway, a portal into that deep, blissful dharmic path. Does that make sense? So we're talking about the science, really going after the things that we really want to go after, working with our personal nature. But something we can embody every single day is to step into this dharmic hum and start this chant and this pathway. So, because we at the very core of our being are the great mystery, and every one of these qualities and natural attributes and gifts and the meaningful need is kind of like, think of an onion getting louder and louder. So if you start at the middle with, embodying this bliss before you go to work, as you then go to work and create, step into these various aspects of your life. So, makes sense. I think you've got it. Now, the last thing that you can do, if we put art and science together, then we can talk about the great mystery. We can talk about not mystery as in scary unknown. We're talking about a mystery that is, yes, the unknown, but it also is the embodiment of every single day, every single moment of every day, and us being in a very genuine exchange with our life, with the universe, our relationship. And this mystery is really 1 and 2 together. But what we're going to do is ask a couple of questions. And one of the questions will be, how can I serve? So how can I serve is a really good question to kind of wonder about. And mystery is kind of like, I wonder how I can serve. I wonder what it is that I can serve, because I would really like to embody the deepest part of success and also the most fruition on the outside of success, like so inner and outer success, meaningful prosperity. I want to embody both of those. So how can I serve that will embody both of those? What is it that you love to do? It's another good question. Like, what are you spending your time, all your time thinking about? What is your ultimate concern? Are you researching? Are you looking things up on the internet about? Like, what do you spend a lot of time, being in the occupation of, being in the preamble of, contemplating? It's a good question. Again, so I wonder how it is that I can serve, and I wonder, you're going to live these questions. That's the idea. These fulfillment strategies are just to open up the door to mystery and not say, well, it's got to be a lawyer, you got to be a plumber. It's not about black and white. It's more like meaningful prosperity comes up, I wonder how I can best serve. So I'm going to jump into my embodying the bliss, and I'm going to actively go after what it is that I need to do, these things. And I'm also going to wonder about these questions. So the last question might be, how can I serve? What is it I love to do? And then I want you to think about beauty. Now, I'm a beauty guy, so like Plato was, like Solzhenitsyn was, like the Neoplatonists were, in 500 years ago in Italy and in France. And you know what happened then. They all got excited about beauty again, and then it kind of went into architecture and, and science, and it went into poetry, it went into paintings and sculpture. You've seen it. But what is the beauty that you have inside of you to bring to the world? How can you make the world a more beautiful place? So, how can I serve? What is it I love to do? What I really love to do? And what beauty do I have for the world? Those are questions that I want you to live. Live those questions. Let the answers come. Be curious about, wonder about them. I hope this is useful. We've talked about, the idea that meaningful prosperity is both outside success and inside success. It's made up of these 3 different areas: self-care, relationship, work. If we're doing it really well, we can access a love, an undivided love, a feeling of like being our most authentic self and giving in all these areas of our life. And we can feel that harmonious usefulness in our life, belonging to one and many, and that unity without effort. There's the vitality, intimacy, and the meaning and purpose of that. If you do all those things, there's, here's a way for you to deepen it. Yeah, you get the picture. If you have any concerns, or you have any challenges, or this doesn't make sense to you, you want to write to me. My email is michael@michaeltalbot-kelly.com, or just call me, 1-604-317-1613. Leave a message. I'll get back to you within 24 hours. Thank you so much for joining me. Happy to serve. Bye for now.